So this chick named Jasmine saunters into this super fancy dealership, wanting to snag a Rolls-Royce bowtail for her sister. But the high and mighty staff, they totally looked down on her, thinking she wasn't rich enough and basically tossed her out. The next day, well, her billionaire hubby rolls up in a $19 million Bugatti La Voiture Noire. You gotta stick around for this, folks. It's a story you won't forget. First off, this sales manager dude, Bryce Langston at Silverside Elite Motors, he's got this icy voice and, just loud enough for everyone else to hear. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. He was like, "This ain't no place for window shoppers." Jasmine just stood there, real cool, hands clasped in front of her. The whole showroom was just dripping in luxury. Sleek Ferraris, Bentleys, McLarens, all lit up like a fancy museum. But nobody was checking out the cars. They were all staring at her. Here she was, this regular-looking woman in jeans and sneakers, a plain white t-shirt, no fancy purse, not even a bodyguard. Just a calm look in her eyes as she asked, just a few minutes ago, to see the Rolls-Royce bowtail, which wasn't even on the showroom floor. Bryce, the sales guy, gave her this smug little smirk. "Ma'am," he said, "that car starts at $8 million bucks. We usually only deal with people who make appointments." And when she didn't even flinch, he doubled down, real condescending-like. "Maybe you'd be better off at our used car lot, 3 blocks that way." Someone nearby snickered. Jasmine could feel her face getting a little red, but it wasn't embarrassment. It was more like that slow burn you get when you're just done. She'd been judged, put down, and brushed off before, sure. But never like this, not in front of everyone. "I'm ready to buy one," she said, calm as can be. That's when Bryce, he laughed, a short, dismissive little chuckle that echoed across the marble floors. "A cash purchase," he practically sneered. "This ain't a bargain bin." He looked her up and down, from her sneakers to her hair. "Let's be real," he said. "You're just here to take some pictures, make a TikTok, daydream a little. This isn't your world." A few people's jaws dropped, but nobody said a word. Jasmine's heart was pounding, but not from fear, more like holding back. She'd come to surprise her sister, not start a fight. But maybe, just maybe, this lesson had to happen. Without another word, she just turned around and walked out, past all the fancy cars, past the silent sales staff, past the people staring at her. What they didn't know was that the next day, they'd all be staring again, but for a very different reason. The next morning, the dealership was doing the usual thing. Bryce Langston, standing at the front entrance, was straightening his tie and was already boasting to some other guy about this influencer wannabe who came in yesterday. "Tried to sneak a boat tail, the nerve," he scoffed. "People really think looking rich is the same as being rich." They were all laughing until everything changed. This low rumble, like a powerful engine, vibrated through the whole place. Everyone turned. Out front, in the morning sun, this Bugatti La Voiture Noire rolled up to the entrance. Now check this out. The Bugatti pulls up, and it's the rarest, most expensive car on the planet. We're talking nearly $19 million worth of custom carbon fiber. All matte black, just perfect. It parks like it's doing ballet, graceful and precise. The whole staff just froze, like somebody hit the pause button. This chauffeur in a uniform hops out and heads around to open the back door. With a white-gloved hand, he opens it up, nice and smooth. And out steps this guy, who just oozes authority. He doesn't even have to say anything. You just know he's somebody. This is Julian Reed, 6'2", salt and pepper hair, tailored charcoal suit, presence like a brewing storm. Calm, collected. But you know he could go off in a heartbeat if you pushed him too far. He starts walking towards the entrance, and every step sounds like a countdown. Bryce is already at the door, all flustered but trying to act eager. "Good morning, sir. Bryce Langston, sales manager here. Let me personally welcome you to Silverside Elite Motors." "If I can show you," Julian cuts him off, his voice quiet but sharp as a razor. "I'm here to speak with you." Bryce blinks, surprised. "Of course, sir. How can I help?" Julian's eyes don't even flicker. "You already tried yesterday." Now Bryce is looking confused. Julian goes on, "My wife, Jasmine Reed. She came in to ask about the Rolls-Royce bowtail. You told her she didn't belong here." The color just drains right out of Bryce's face. "Jeans, white shirt, simple woman," Julian adds. "Ring any bells?" Bryce stammers, "Sir, I think there's been some kind of mistake." Julian cuts him off again. You told her to leave. You laughed in her face. You humiliated her in public. You could hear a pin drop in that showroom. It was so quiet. Even this junior salesman, Owen, is edging closer, eyes wide like saucers. Julian steps closer. You didn't ask her name. You didn't ask her why she was here. You judged her. Because of what? Her shoes. From behind Bryce, the dealership owner, Howard Sullivan, steps out of his office. He's heard all the commotion. Julian turns to him. You run this place? Howard nods slowly. Yes, sir. Good. Then you'll want to hear this. Julian's voice doesn't get any louder, but every word hits hard. My wife, who you dismissed, is the founder of the Reed Impact Initiative, a national nonprofit that's built over 30 schools for kids with autism. She's raised over $60 million to help families who are struggling. Howard's jaw drops. Bryce looks like he's about to hurl. And me, Julian adds. I came here today to buy the boat tail for her. A little spark of hope flickers in Bryce's eyes. Julian stomps it out with one sentence. But now I'm not so sure this dealership even deserves our business. For a moment, nobody moves. The silence inside Silverside Elite Motors is complete, except for that faint rumble from the Bugatti's engine outside. Howard Sullivan, the owner, finally steps forward. His voice is shaky with urgency. Mr. Reed, please, I promise you, this doesn't represent what we stand for. Julian just stares at him. Then you've got a problem, because your sales manager didn't just turn away a customer. He humiliated my wife, publicly, loudly, and on purpose. Bryce, sweating bullets, tries to backtrack. Mr. Reed, I had no idea who she was. Julian doesn't even blink. And that's the whole point right there. Then, this young salesman, Owen, pipes up. She asked about the boat tail. I was helping her, and Mr. Langston stepped in and shut it down, sent her away, treated her like she was a joke. Howard, the owner, turns to Bryce, all serious. Is that true? Bryce doesn't even answer. He doesn't need to. It's written all over his face. Julian speaks up, his voice a little louder now, not angry, but so everyone can hear him. My wife dresses simply, lives modestly. That's her choice. But she's changed more lives than most of you can even imagine. She came here with the money and the intention to make someone else's dream come true. And she was treated like a trespasser. A few customers nearby look down, ashamed. Julian takes a breath. I came here for one car, but I was also thinking about replacing our company's whole fleet. 9 luxury vehicles, a contract worth millions. Howard almost stumbles backward. He's so shocked. Julian keeps going. But after yesterday, I'm not interested in making a deal. I'm interested in something more valuable. He turns to Bryce. You're going to volunteer at the Reed Impact Initiative Gala next month. Bryce's jaw drops. Sir, Julian cuts him off, not as a guest. As staff. You'll help set up, help families, serve kids who face real challenges every single day. That's not a request. That's how it's going to be. The room is dead silent. Maybe then, Julian adds, you'll understand what real worth looks like. He turns to Owen. You were kind to my wife. I want you to handle the boat tail purchase. And we'll decide about the fleet after the gala. Owen nods, stunned. Yes, sir, thank you. Julian looks at Howard one last time. I'd also recommend unconscious bias training for your whole team. I know some consultants who are experts at it. Howard manages a nod. We'll make it happen right away. Julian gives a polite smile. Good. Then, like he said all he needs to say, he starts walking toward the exit, stopping just long enough to run his hand along the hood of the boat tail. My wife has excellent taste, he says softly. Behind him, Bryce is still frozen, his whole world crashing down, his pride shattered. 1 month later, the Reed Impact Initiative Gala transformed the Grand Civic Hall into a real celebration of resilience. Kids with disabilities were doing obstacle courses in adaptive wheelchairs. Others were showing off their artwork, playing music, and proudly introducing their families to the people who helped them. The place was filled with laughter, joy, and a real sense of purpose. And right in the middle of it all was Bryce Langston. His fancy designer suit was gone. Now he was wearing a plain black t-shirt with an event staff tag, a little crooked, sleeves rolled up as he helped guide guests, move chairs, and hand out plates of food. He'd showed up dragging his feet, out of fear and because he had to. But everything changed when this 10-year-old kid named Isaac, who had cerebral palsy, tugged on his sleeve and asked him to help him reach the basketball hoop. That little moment just broke something down inside of him. He pushed wheelchairs, listened to people's stories, and watched these kids light up with every bit of encouragement he gave them. He worked, he sweated, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like he was better than anyone. He just felt like a regular guy. Then, Jasmine Reed comes over, wearing this beautiful navy dress, her hair all soft and curly. Even though he knew who she was now, Bryce still felt a little intimidated by her. Not because she was rich, but because she was just so graceful. She gives him a little smile. "So how's it going?" Bryce looks around, then back at her. "Humbling," he says, "and definitely something I needed." Jasmine nods. "What have you learned?" Bryce thinks for a second before he answers. "That what people are worth isn't about what they're wearing or how much money they have," he says. "It's about how they treat other people and how they act when nobody's watching." Jasmine looks at him for a moment, then nods. "Good answer." He hesitates, then adds, "And I'm sorry for what I said, for how I treated you. There's no excuse." "No," she says gently, "there isn't. But we can't grow without facing facts." Just then, Julian Reed joins them. "Owen tells me you've been helping out some of the younger sales guys back at Silverside," he says casually. Bryce looks surprised. "I've been trying." Julian nods. "That fleet order I mentioned? We're ready to go ahead with it. And I'd like you to handle it." Bryce is stunned. "You would?" "I believe people can change," Julian says, "if they're willing to put in the work." Bryce doesn't say anything for a minute, just nods, feeling kind of overwhelmed. Across the room, Isaac calls out, waving from the basketball hoop. Bryce smiles. "Excuse me," he says, already heading over to him. As he pushes Isaac's wheelchair back into position, he hears the kid say, "You're pretty cool for a grown-up." And for the first time in a long time, Bryce actually believed it. As the gala was wrapping up, the ballroom lights dimmed to this soft, golden color. You could hear laughter echoing off the walls, and the last round of applause faded away as the live music started up. Jasmine and Julian Reed moved through the crowd, no bodyguards, no fanfare, just shaking hands, giving hugs, and listening to people's stories. They didn't need to show off their wealth. Across the room, Bryce Langston was standing near the refreshment table, just watching. A month ago, he wouldn't have given families like these a second glance. He would have ignored the strength of these kids and written off the people who didn't look rich or powerful. But now he could see things clearly. And for once, he wasn't thinking about making a sale. He was thinking about doing the right thing. He turns around as Owen, the young salesman, comes up to him. "Julian just signed the paperwork for the bowtail," Owen says, grinning. "And he gave the green light on the fleet. You're in charge of it." Bryce nods slowly. "That's a second chance I didn't think I deserved." "You earned it," Owen says simply. "You changed." Bryce looks over at Jasmine, who's kneeling beside a young girl, looking at her drawings. "Changed, maybe," he says, "but more like awakened." He watches. Julian puts his hand on Jasmine's shoulder, real gentle-like. You can see the love between them, not flashy or showy, but something solid, built on helping others, not on looking good. Bryce lets out a breath, finally getting it. Real worth? It's not about how much things cost. It's about how you treat someone when you don't think they can do anything for you. He smiles when Isaac rolls up again. "Hey, Mr. Bryce, next time you're on my team, we're gonna win for sure." Bryce laughs. "I don't know, kid. You're doing all the work out there." Isaac shrugs. "Maybe, but I like how you pass the ball." And just like that, the biggest lesson of all comes from the smallest voice in the room. We all make snap judgments based on how people look. But sometimes, if you look past the surface, you find the most amazing people and the most important lessons you'll ever learn. If this story hit home, give that subscribe button a smash and join the crew. Ever been judged unfairly? Or ever judged someone else wrong? Tell us about it in the comments below. And remember, what makes you truly rich isn't the money in your account. It's how you treat people when nobody important is looking. Thanks for watching, and catch you in the next story. There's always something new to learn. And that's it. I think we nailed it. Let me know what you think.